shack at. The bottles getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips. All of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated public sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call it truth. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
Cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers. Happy Wednesday, October 11th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Great to see all you guys in the chat ready to get to work. Sammy Calmer, Troy Torrance, Silver Malco, I Want That Cat, Justin McElvey, the Stacks play of the day in business. North Ender says, holy shit, Betting with the Bag feels like it's been forever. It's been a long weekend of action. We've had NHL start off, so God, it's so hard looking at the futures market for months. And, for me, I'll have a plan 4 months ago that I'll, disregard as we get closer to the NHL season. In football this year, and it may come back to haunt me, it was the Jaguars. I wanted the Jaguars all offseason, and then I got uncomfortable with the look. In NHL, it was the Kraken. I wanted the Kraken all offseason, but that 92.5 season win total for points was just extremely fishy after a 100-point season and almost in the, a goal away from the conference finals. And I couldn't even then take them to win the division. I completely cut them out of my action, which helped though. I had my short list of NHL futures was 14. I cut it down to 10. We'll go over all of that. And then I attacked tonight's card. I didn't make a bet on last night's NHL card. My whole focus was on NFL. We'll go over the NFL action. I fired away. I did feel like last week having my birthday kind of messed up with my rhythm, and it just messed up everything. I kind of got to keep everything pretty clean in a system where I wake up at the same time. I do this. Everything is scheduled. So taking off to a casino to get drunk for a few days, I think it cost me $1,000 in winners. And these things happen. But I'm focused right now. I am, desperately lacking sleep. But that just comes with the territory this time of year. And then I had the Tuesday night show last night for NFL. Then I had a hockey pool right after it, which I've won back-to-back years, by the way. They don't like to talk about it, but I will. And I, then had to do more work capping. The one thing about NHL early in the year is there are no numbers for us to base things on. So when we talk about the games here tonight, which I've attacked, like I've fucking hammered, I really, really invested in tonight's card. It's more about feel. I've been looking at these line combinations for months, and the injuries aren't really too big of a deal right now. For whatever reason, it's been a pretty clean preseason. So we'll go over all of NHL, and then we will hammer MLB playoff baseball with Jose Bouquett. And then we will talk about the two college football games tonight. I decided to push best bets for college football to tomorrow. Big Ragu is going to join us today. He is not available. So we're going to push college football best bets to tomorrow. But it's great to see all of you guys. Let me copy and paste Justin McElvey's MLB action here in the Braves game. It was sports is so fascinating. It never ceases to blow my mind. It never ceases to interest me. That's why I stopped watching fiction about 7 years ago. I just don't have a second to watch a story because these storylines that we have are so unbelievable. And, I know that there were some cappers who believed that the Orioles weren't ready for the playoffs, but that was pretty eye-opening. the difference between postseason baseball and regular season baseball. I mean, it was no surprise that the Blue Jays put up 1 run. It was a surprise that, Gunnar and Adley and the boys were incapable of doing anything. It really was. Justin McElvey, I've got your Acuna over 1.5 bases here copied and pasted. I want that cat in the house. Pimp slap play of the day. There's TJ in the house. It's baseball playoffs and hockey best time of the year. Let's get it. Jay Smooth ready to get to work. And here we go. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is on the Dodgers minus 140. Let's get that in here. Dodgers minus 140. Big game. Big game. Can you believe the Dodgers down 2-0? And spreadsheet play of the day in NHL, which we will be tracking all season long. I am going heads up with the spreadsheet play of the day today. But then, I have a plan this year for these Calgary Flames. And I had a change of heart with the Winnipeg Jets when they re-signed Scheifele and Hellebuck to big contracts a few days ago, sending the message to the squad. So I had a change of heart, and I ended up moving on the Winnipeg Jets team total over for points this year, 91.5. And I'm on Calgary under points and Calgary not to make the playoffs, but we'll discuss all of that. Sweaty Butcher in the house. Pimp slap play today says 2-0 on those posted plays yesterday. Let's run it back. I love it. Excellent work. Ron Crawford says cash. Texas minus 137 play day yesterday and lost. Pittsburgh minus 135 for record keeping. Who knows what you're going to get from the Pittsburgh Penguins? I don't. All I want to do is watch their power play. I don't even want to watch the old timers play. Fireworks Waterfall said felt good to hit Chicago Blackhawks money line last night. Chicago got me paid. Respect Fireworks Waterfall. That's not Chocolatey Waterfall. That's Fireworks Waterfall. Proof Bet says my poor O's. Yeah, that was pretty ugly. Al Cervic ready to get to work. Raymond Reichart. Dav Fence, a terrible start to the NHL. It's okay. There's a couple rules I have with NHL, and I kind of bucked one of them here. But the first games are tricky. They are tricky. TJ says, I'm about to move to upstate New York in a few months. How far are you from Buffalo? If there's not much traffic, I'm about an hour. If the border's fast, I'm like hour and a half, man. I would love that, TJ. I mean, we'll run. I also like that Seneca Casino, but no poker room in there. How can you have a big casino with free drinks, no poker room? Well, it's just ridiculous. Equanimus starts tomorrow, 5:30 a.m. Shelton over Kudla. I have no idea what that is. But it starts tomorrow, 5:30 a.m. from our guy Equanimus in the house. There's razor sharp picks, 4-0 sweep yesterday, running hot, 1-0 in NHL, 3-0 in MLB. I love it. Rocco Rogers, Corey Seager, and ladder and home run for the win. Nice job. There's Viper and B in the house. Earl Sports Bets, NHL dog of the day. Montreal Canadiens. I have an investment on the Canadiens tonight. Not a full game, but we will discuss that. I love seeing that Earl Sports is on it. I will copy and paste that right now. I mean, that's probably a good way to get us started. Good way to get us started. Oh, I guess my hat faded the green screen off this Canucks. Too bad. Is that a problem? God, it's annoying. The Canucks just never cease to fucking annoy me. Maybe I'll have to switch hats, take off this fucking train wreck of a hat. I was going to wear a Canucks jersey. Good thing I didn't do that. He says I can turn down the settings. I'm just lacking sleep. Okay, let's see if this fade will work. I'm going to turn it down. Is that better? Jose? Can you be the voice of God?
Got to go up a little more.
Or down. I went down. Should I be going up?
Yeah, go up a touch more.
Okay. How's that?
Go back down a little bit. This is the game we play right there.
Okay. That's good.
I'll move.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Because I'll take this trash hat off. Usually I wear the Canucks jersey for the first game of the year, but Can't do that, man. What a disturbing franchise. I'm so happy they're trying to get rid of Connor Garland. Try to erase everything that Jim Benning has done. What an ass clown. But it's a good way to get us started here. Our guy, Earl Sports Bets. And they play the Leafs tough. The greatest franchise in hockey history by Stanley Cups.
La plus grande franchise dans la histoire du hockey.
Booze bag, that guy is. What a booze bag. Andrew G says the Orioles pulled the Florida Panthers, but at least the Panthers made it to the end. They did. Big booty Latina. I didn't no problem with the Panthers losing in 5. That was all predicted by us, and we made a shitload of money off of it. I'm happy. But I did, the Panthers are in a tough spot. We'll get to talk about that tomorrow. A big booty Latina play of the day is the over 9.5. I like both these pitchers. I have a rich history with Lance Lynn, and I'm a believer in Fott, even though he didn't look good in that first start. I'm not sure how long he gets in. BJ, best bet, Astros money line for 5 units. Astros money line for 5 units. Let's get this up here, copied and pasted. Raymond Reichart says, it's not surprising. They won way too many one-run games in the regular season, not sustainable in the postseason. I kind of want to back a team that can win those one-run games, but yeah, no, they did not look good. Scott Christensen said I was blasted last night. Took the Hawks when they were down 1-0 in the first plus 200. Nice job, Scotty. Raymond Reichart, Talk Sports with JT in the house. Dav Fenn, Gerald Jones says, what's good? Says, listening at work, like Tennessee, Baltimore under 41, New England, Las Vegas under 41, New Orleans, Texans under 41. Well, I'm on the first 2. And I doubled up. My first double up of the year on that Tennessee, Baltimore under. I'm nervous about it, though. The first, 2 games have gone under in the UK, and I'm a little nervous about it. Razor Sharp Pick says everyone will be on the Dodgers. They know way the Dodgers get swept. And a lot of laughter from Razor. A lot of gleeful laughter. All right. TJ says, need to know what everyone's doing to stream NHL. That's a good question. I have the package, so I've got it all. JT Eel in the house, tongue tied, says, who do we think is starting? We think AJ. We think AJ is starting, right? The kid. Smith Shaver is who I think is starting. There's Kyle Hindley in the house. Nice to see you, Kyle. We've missed you, man. Going in big on the Bees tonight, says Kyle Hindley. I'm close to making an addition in that game, so I want to talk about it. North End says shots and goal were money yesterday. Teams were ripping the puck. All right, it's great to see all you guys. Brandon the Great on Harris over 1.5 bases. Let's get that here. Harris over 1.5 bases. Let's make sure that's copied and pasted. We got a lot of work to do, but we don't have the best bets. We have a little bit more time. And look at this. Die Hard MMA podcast. Biggest bet of the year for him. Fade the hype. UFC Vegas 81. Christian Rodriguez. Aren't we so lucky? We have all these spectacular cappers who just come in here and give us their hard-earned cap, like hard work they drop on us. Same game parlay for Philly Eagle Flyer. Bruins 60 minutes and last goal. Plus 114. It's an interesting way of hammering something, because then you're banking on the lead and the empty net. Can you track those bets for you, Philly Eagle Flyer? It's a very interesting way of doing. Remos has put an Oilers hat on. I will never put on the Oilers hat. I grew up with the Oilers coming to Pacific Coliseum and just destroying us. Game in and game out, just destroying us. And I will never wear anything Edmonton, but I will bet them to win the Stanley Cup and reap the rewards if that comes true. Woo, Rizzo like in Philly's first 3 -0.5 and Philly's first 5 -0.5 was an obvious mistake I made on the Zach Wheeler day. That Sharpie didn't. He had first 5 and first 7. That was beautiful. Lucas Ryan in the house. Great to see all you guys. Okay, we got to get to work. Stimmy OG big on the over 6.5 in the Maple Leafs game. I get that. Let's copy and paste that. I'm interested in that Philly Eagle Flyer. It's a very, very, very interesting way of betting these favorites, big favorites, to knock them down in price without taking the puck line. But you still sort of need the puck line, right? To ensure, right? The empty net goal is sort of the insurance there. Oh wow, Nuclear had a dream last night. He was in San Antonio but got lost and missed Pubapalooza. I have stand-up nightmares. They'll end soon because I used to have hockey nightmares for about 10 or 15 years, and then they're done. I don't have them anymore. But I still am having stand-up nightmares. They'll go away. Razor Sharp picks horse pick of the day. Delaware Park race 7-3. Athena's Wisdom at 5-1. Athena's Wisdom at 5-1. Definite copy and paster for me right there. Jarek White in the house. All right. And Earl Sports Bet says, for those who don't have the balls to back, Habs money line, Habs team total over 2.5. -110 is a good play too. All right. North Anderson, say it again. The greatest team in hockey history. I can't. Okay. Love you guys. Let's get to work. And that one dude says tired and drained, but any day 6 feet above ground is a good day. I respect that. That one dude. Gift Cartel in the house. All right. Raymond Reichart. Yes, we have a date for our big Pub-A-Palooza. And it is, you fly in Thursday, you fly out Monday, or drive or whatever. That's the situation, because we close on the Sunday night with the stand-up comedy show. We spend Sunday at the track. And the dates are Thursday, March 28th until Monday, April 1st. Thursday to Monday. All right, let's get to work. I agree with that very, very much. First, I'd like to go over my futures action here. I'll pop it here into the chat just so you can see it with your own eyes here. Get this right here. There's my futures action. And we'll go through it here briefly. We won't with the teams that are playing tonight. We can just talk about it then. But the teams that aren't playing, we'll talk about it. And we can just sort of go over the lineups for each squad. But we'll start with the Devils to win the Stanley Cup. I think they're a very, very dangerous hockey team. We know that to win a Stanley Cup, you need to be the worst team in the league. You need to pack the first and second overall picks, and then you win the Stanley Cup, like the Penguins and the Blackhawks and the Capitals and the Avalanche. It's just the same old deal. Vegas, the way they won the Stanley Cup is just a credit to their spectacular management. Tyler Toffoli is a great pickup for that Hughes and Jesper Bratt first line. Nico Hischier, you have your first two centermen are number one overall picks. I mean, that's how you win a Stanley Cup. Dawson Mercer, I can't remember. He's a first round pick. Dawson Mercer is going to be a monster. His first 2 years in the NHL have been extremely strong. And I really wanted him in the hockey pool last night. Was upset that I didn't get him. He's on the line with Timo Meier. You have that top six. I don't know if there's a better top six in the NHL. You also have Jack Hughes with his brother Luke Hughes. You got, that's just a good vibe to have in the room. And Dougie Hamilton has to step up and be a leader, because you can say that Jonas Siegenthaler, Kevin Ball, Brendan Smith, John Marino, it's not the best defensive group, right now. And you could question their goaltending with Vanacek and Akira Schmidt. Those are all legitimate questions, but this is a extremely tough hockey team. And I'm taking them to win the Stanley Cup at 9-1. When you take a future at 9-1, you can't take the conference as well. And I like to have, to win the conference and win the cup, but a 4.5 or anywhere between 4 and 5-1 future to win the conference. I just don't think it's worth it personally. Then I have the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. We'll talk about the Oilers when we talk about their matchup with the Canucks, but those are my two spots for the Cup, 9-1 each. Then I have the Kings to win the West at 8-1. We'll talk about the Kings when we break down that game. I have Avalanche under 106.5 points. We'll discuss that as well. I have the Panthers under 98.5 points, and this is a real simple bet here. I think the Panthers are going to be a fade, but we're also going to have to bet overs immediately when it comes to the Florida Panthers, because they are missing their top two defensemen, absolute studs, in Aaron Ekblad and Brandon Montour. Sammy Bennett's day-to-day right now, but Montour and Ekblad both have shoulder injuries, and they expect Montour to come back first. They don't expect either to come back in November, and Eric Ekblad, it could be December. It's a tough way to start off with your top two defensemen. Now, and we remember historically in NHL, we fade any team that's missing their top two defense or two of their top four defensemen. We fade them immediately. And to think that they can go into an NHL season with Gustav Forsling on the top unit with Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Makes me just want to laugh, point and laugh, and fade them. Now, we know that Barkov is, a two-way center out of our wildest dreams. Carter Verhaeghe is taking the next step as a sniper. Justin Sourdif is a special young talent who could step up here. And Matthew Tkachuk is everything you could ever want in a hockey player. Now, I don't know what he's like in the room, but he's scary and dangerous and dirty and aggressive with soft hands, 50-goal capabilities, 100 points every year, can be on the hash marks on the power play, can stand right in front of the net, can take abuse and can give abuse. He's everything you could ever want in a hockey player. So I'm still on the under 98.5 points. This is a team, if you want any futures action on Florida, you wait till 30 games into the year. I'm on Calgary under 94.5 points. We're going to talk about Calgary here in their game against the Jets. I'm on Calgary not to make the playoffs at plus 130. The under 94.5, it was juiced to the over. So the under 94.5, I got plus 100. I'm on the Flyers under 75.5 points. I think that's pretty much a slam dunk spot. Those are all season point total unders, those 4 unders. And then I took 2 overs. I took the Jets over 91.5. We'll talk about that in the Jets game. And then I took the Predators over 87.5. And I want to touch on Nashville. What we saw last night is something that we'll see more of a first period unders. Unfortunately, with today's NHL, that you almost have to bet first period unders with full game unders, because as we saw last year, and as we saw in the in the Predators Lightning game, 1-1 after 2, there can just be a buffet of goals in the third period. Things just open up. And another thing I really want you guys to remember when you're live betting is there's no better bet live. There's no better bet than the divisional game, 2-2 going into the third period, and taking the under 6.5. The teams will play for the point. They'll play for the point. If there's no goal scored in the first 7 or 8 minutes, there won't be one scored. So it's 2-2, take the live under 6.5. But this team is a real interesting one. Obviously, Cody Glass and Kiefer Sherwood, you have to expect them to continue to rise up. And Thomas Novak, their young players are more than capable of really stepping up. And, Luke Schenn is probably my favorite player in the NHL. And he's a perfect partner for Roman Josi. He's a stay-at-home defenseman. He's one of the toughest guys in the NHL. He's so accountable. He's perfect. There was this in the Lightning Leafs series. There was a time when the veteran Lightning guys were all yelling at the young Leafs, just screaming and yelling at them. And Luke Schenn just stood there. He just stood there right in between them and just stood there and stared at the Lightning. He played for them. He's tougher than them. He's going to add a toughness level that every team needs. The Canucks need. Clint says that he has soft hands, and I don't talk about him like that. That's true. I don't. I don't. Lucas says, love Luke Schenn. He's this. That's who you need. That's who you need. Okay, so, Justin McAvee says, I don't cap or watch hockey. I capped Penguins last night, went 0-2 in hockey, down 2 units, but MLB got it back for yesterday. Just don't. If you're getting new to betting hockey, there's certain ways of doing it. One is if you want to have high volume, you can cut it down to half unit bets. Another thing is you can just write your bets down on paper and see how they do over the first month. There's a lot of volatility early in the season, and you don't want to open up the season down a lot. And it's a common theme to be down a lot. It's also, for me, a common theme to bet a little more than I want early in the season, just volume of action. So that's my future action. Let's get into our first game of the day. Sweaty Butcher said, so I had a great idea. Get Slaughter a segment on the show where he tells us his capper contest picks. I'm down with that, Sweaty Butcher. He's a very busy man, but I'm down with that. North Ender says, I don't really bet futures, but I did look at fading the Kraken. It's funny how you can come full circle. Philly Eagle Flyer says Vegas to do it again, so I'll be on Vegas. I'll also sprinkle Canes to win the cup. First off, I don't mind the Canes spot, but Vegas is an aging hockey team. And they have a ton of heart and a ton of character, and I love Chandler Stevenson and Brett Howden's on the way up. But I don't see how Mark Stone could get through a full season with his back. And, we're starting to ask a lot of Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore as they get older, and I don't want anything to do with them in the futures market, but that Stanley Cup they won was richly deserved. Let's get into our first game of the day, my first opportunity to cap a spot this year. We start with the Montreal Canadiens at the Toronto Maple Leafs at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. Jake Allen and Ilya Samsonov going up against each other. Jake Allen struggled with injuries last year, and he's more than capable of getting off to a good start here. But he struggled last year. 15, 24, and 3, 3.55 goals against average, 891 save percentage. Samsonov, 27, 10, and 5, 2.33 goals against average, 0.919 save percentage. Samsonov's never, started 60 games in the season. And it was a spectacular move by the front office to sign him. He was so much better than the 1.8 that they paid him. But I don't know if he's capable of being a goaltender that can go 60 games. I also, he's coming off the best season of his career, and it's a tricky spot for a goaltender. Let's get into the line history right now for this one. And I've made a bet on it. And those of you who are, looking for overs in Toronto Maple Leafs games, I get it. They're going to be a little bit of a different squad this year, a little tougher and a little slower. But I can understand anybody, with the bias of these totals. One thing about the Montreal Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators, now things are changed with Ottawa because they're a good team with a lot of hope in them, but they play the Leafs tough. They always play the Leafs tough. If you bet the Senators and the Habs every time they played the Leafs over the last few years, you'd be laughing up so much money. But I've often been nervous betting the Habs full game, and I cut the game down, and it's not always worked out for me. This opened up with the Leafs minus 278. Right now they're minus 284. It's only 6 cents of movement. There's been more, got up to minus 289 at 7:45 in the morning. From a total standpoint here, we're not going to look at cash in NHL. It's you can't look at the money line cash because how many professional gamblers do know that are betting minus 300 favorites. So all the money's always going to be on the dog side. And the total is somewhat interesting, but I just don't find it necessary for me. So I'm not going to talk about cash when it comes to NHL. This total opened up at 6 minus 110 to the over, and there's been a 14-cent move to the over. I imagine it's a public spot. Let's take a look here at the lineups. So we're going to talk first about this Toronto Maple Leafs lineup here, and it's different. They're trying to be tougher. And I like what they've done. I think it was a good offseason for them. But, Luke Schenn had to have been a priority in my estimation. Mitch Marner is about to have a 100-point season. I think Austin Matthews is more than capable of bouncing back from last year's 85-point season. It's weird watching him score 60 goals 2 years ago and then only 40 this past season. I imagine that he's, he got the contract that he wanted. I imagine that he's primed for a big season. And Tyler Bertuzzi is a perfect winger for them to have. And then Max Domi with Tavares and Willie Nylander is an extremely strong second line, and you're going to see Domi flying all over the ice. Domi's not a big player with stature, but he flies around the ice and he hits really hard. And Tyler Bertuzzi is not that big himself, but he's tough as nails. Then you have Ryan Reeves protecting everybody. He's also great in the room. People love him. Defensively, is this a good enough team to get you to the Stanley Cup? And the answer is no. Obviously, they can make some sort of addition throughout the year. Morgan Riley played for my club that I played with growing up, and he was partners with Griffin Reinhart back then when they were in Bantam. And Griffin Reinhart, fifth overall pick, never really made the NHL. He's Morgan Riley, TJ Brody, John Klingberg. I do not trust John Klingberg. He's like an Oliver Ekman-Larsson light, and I just don't think that they're tough enough. Jake McCabe, Mark Giordano. We're asking a lot of Mark Giordano, an old guy. He was great last year. I mean, how long is he going to be able to keep it up? And can he be healthy through 82 games? And then Timothy Liljegren. The power play is just going to be unbelievable. It's Mitch Marner. He's such a special talent. So we have the Leafs, and I'm not sure from a betting perspective what to do with them. It's funny that they're the favorite to win the cup at 8-1 after we just watched them fall apart year after year after year after year. I think they're a very good hockey team. I wish they had Luke Shin. I wish they had a tougher defense, but at least they have a tougher forward group. Let's talk about the Habs. Marty St. Louis is just moving this team in the right direction. They're full of young talent. They're full of first-round draft picks. That first line, Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, and Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson is such a perfect win. Notice that when they ditched every veteran on this team that they could, that Josh Anderson was a must-keep. A big mistake by the Jackets to get rid of him. I love his size. I love his speed. He's going to be such a great presence with Suzuki and Caulfield. Then you have Alex Newhook, a first-round pick from Colorado Avalanche. He just never got the opportunity to shine over there. Kirby Dach, same deal. We're talking about a very high pick. I believe he was 3rd overall for the Blackhawks, who just never got rolling over there. And then they have Slafkovsky, who was last year's number 1 overall pick. I mean, that's so much talent on that line. And then you have the veteran line, Tanner Pearson, Sean Monahan, Brendan Gallagher. Honestly, I don't know what they're going to give you or how healthy they're going to be. Defensively, Michael Matheson has the chance of being a top defenseman, and David Savard's a nice look with them, but you got Wi-Fi and Jordan Harris on the third the third defensive unit. This defense is going to be weak. They may be a great spot for offensive action. TJ says, that's my problem with this game. Habs full of young talent, opening game, Toronto light shining. I expect young guys to fold a bit. It's interesting. I know who's not going to fold and who I am on the Canadiens first period. And I got the Habs first period at a plus 190. Is Caulfield, Suzuki, and Anderson. And also like David Savard, I think it's going to take a while for the Leafs to get rolling. And I think Suzuki and Caulfield will be shot out of a gun here. And I just like the opportunity for the first period plus 190. I do. Earl Sports bets Habs to make playoffs at 16-1. You never talk negative about a 16-1 spot because obviously, you look at the probability of a bet like that, and it's a small number, and that's why you get 16-1. I do not think that they have now the Western Conference is so much stronger than it was last year, but I don't think the East really has room for the Habs in here. So I'm on the Habs first period. And LG says, what are thoughts on the first period over 1.5? I'm very uncomfortable with totals in the first few games of the year. I was forced to bet 2 last night. After I'd made my decision of what I was going to do, I was forced to add 2 totals. So let's roll on. Now, do I think there's going to be goals scored in this game? Yes. The expectation when we have no real statistical base for these teams and their power plays and their penalty killing, and we're kind of going off of heart and guts here, and with our breakdowns, I just find it very nerve-wracking. So, but I hear you. I think goals will be scored, but I do not want to have money on it in the first period. I mean, we saw the 5-3 Lightning Predators game was 1-1 after 2. Okay. So let's roll on. I'm on the Canadiens first period at plus 190. Earl Sports Bets NHL dog of the day is the Habs at plus 246. And we move on to the next spot on the board, Ottawa Senators, Carolina Hurricanes. So first off, we'll discuss the goaltending, and we'll discuss Ottawa. If Ottawa had a healthy Josh Norris as their second line center, I'd be all over them in the future market. And I plan to move on them in the future market if he comes back and he plays 5 to 10 games and looks like he's good to go. Tim Stützle is an absolute superstar, and Brady Tkachuk is, a Tkachuk. So he's tough and can fight, punch you in the face. He'll stand in front of the net. You can put him on the hash marks for a one-timer. He's got soft hands. I mean, he can just do everything for you. And then you put Claude Giroux on that line, a veteran experience there. Not having Josh Norris is heartbreaking, and it's enough for me not to want to be involved. I do not know what Dominic Kubalik and Vladimir Tarasenko are going to offer. I don't know. But I do know that if the Kings had to pick Tim Stützle over Byfield, that the Kings probably win the Stanley Cup last year and would be looking to win the Cup again this year. That's how special Tim Stützle is. And this defense with Chikrin for a full season with Shabbat, I'm really interested to see it. They have Hamonic now, a healthy Hamonic. And then the big thing is they have a Korpisalo in net, and Korpisalo's coming off of his best season. I've been waiting for him to have a season like that. He was okay with Columbus, 11-11-3, 3.13 goals against average, 913 save percentage. But with the Kings, he was really good, 7-3-1, 2.13 goals against average, 921 save percentage. I'm surprised that Cam Talbot is the starting goaltender for the LA Kings. I'm surprised with that team that's capable of really making a big run that they think Talbot is the guy. I think Korpisalo is a better goaltender than him. And we watched Talbot kind of, take it in the drink hole here in Ottawa, but he was dealing with injury issues. You have Freddie Anderson on the other side coming off a disappointing year. 2.48 goals against average, 903 save percentage on a very defensive team. This Hurricanes team could be very good. Now, Svechnikov being hurt does not help them. They need him good to go and healthy and ready to rock. And, I expect that he will be soon. Can Michael Bunting be a first-line winger with Svechnikov out? I mean, the jury's out on that. Sebastian Aho is in that Barkov ilk of defensive forwards that's so dominant with Seth Jarvis, who's got a trajectory of being a top-level sniper. Martin Necas is the top-level sniper. I believe he was a 6th overall pick, but he's not 24 years old right now, and he's ready just to be that guy. He could easily be a 90-point scorer. They got him on the second line with Teravainen and Kotkaniemi. That there's not a lot of toughness there. I mean, you got Sebastian Aho with some size, but there's not a lot of toughness. Then you go down to Martin Nook and Jordan Stahl, and you can find the toughness. You got Brendan Lemieux on the fourth line. They have the toughness, and they have a tough group of defensemen, with Slavin, Burns on the top line, Shea and Pesci on the second line, Orlov and D'Angelo. This could be the best defense in the league. This could be the best defense in the league. So for me here, when we talk about this line history, they offered a 6.5 on this game is nuts to me. And, this line's moving towards the over, and there should not be any 6.5s in Hurricane games. So you can get the 6.5 at -115 Pinnacle right now. It's shocking to me. I got -124. I was certain that there'd be none of these available. So I'm really astonished, truly astonished that this is the situation that we have, and that's that 6.5. And we'll get into that in the Boston game here in a second. So I'm on Ottawa, Carolina under 6.5. I'm on Senators first period at +145. The Senators have this penchant of starting really slow. So I expect them to start slow. Earl Sports Bet says Canes team total under 3.5 is my strongest lean, but no bet yet. Simi OG says I'm on Ottawa plus money. And Sammy Comer says don't trust Ottawa goaltending long term. Well, that's fair, Sammy, but you can't say it's improved from last year. You have to. I thought Korpisalo moved over to the Kings and played in some pressure situations. 921 save percentage. I think Korpisalo is a goaltender on the rise. You had to get him out of Columbus. So but they need Josh Norris if you really want them to play elite level hockey. I'm on the Senators first period at +145. We've watched Carolina start slow at home time and time again. Ottawa, Carolina under 6.5 -124. I'm shocked that that's available. I do not think 6.5s will be available ever in Carolina Hurricane games. And that kind of leads us into the next game. And let's talk about it. Chicago Blackhawks at Boston Bruins, TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. You have Arvid Soderblom, who, probably shouldn't be trusted. 24-year-old young goaltender who is capable of being good. We were all surprised with what Mrazek did last night. Now they're on the back-to-back here, going up against Linus Ullmark, coming off a career season, 46-1, 1.89 goals against average, 938 save percentage. There is some dislike, with this Boston Bruins squad, but I think it's going to be so different than last year, like so unbelievably different. I see this. What's happening here? Sorry, so we're here to Boston. Okay, I see this as being a very defensive hockey team this year. And I think that I'm going to move on the under in this game now. But, after all these years of Bergeron and then, Krejci, now you have Zacha and Coyle. Charlie Coyle is I can't even call him Bergeron light just because he doesn't have that offensive upside, but he's such a accountable face-off winning center. He should be a third-line center on a team that's capable of winning a Stanley Cup. He would be a third-line center. He's a second-line center here, but he's got snipers with DeBrusque and Marchand on his left and right. Zacha with James Van Riemsdyk. I don't know how long Van Riemsdyk will be a first-line winger, but that's Zacha and Pasternak. Morgan Geekie on the third line with Trent Frederick. You got Milan Lucic back in Boston. Grzelcyk is their first-line defenseman along with Charlie McAvoy, but he was a healthy scratch in the playoffs last year. So, I don't know how much they really believe in him. Hampus Lindholm, we know they believe in, and Brandon Carlo. And then you have Shattenkirk, who can help on the power play with that second unit. I think this is an under. And, I'm with Earl Sports Bets. You'll never see me on a minus 315. I won't bet him on the puck line. I don't want anything to do with him. But, the Blackhawks coming off that season-opening 4-2 win. And TJ says 35 shots on goal last night for Chicago. I'm just betting their shots on goal over. I would be concerned a little bit, TJ, and I'll be all, I'll be watching closely to see if that is something that can cash. But this Bruins team is going to play real conservative, strong on the puck, defensive, accountable hockey. Zacha Coyle is your 1-2 centerman. That's not. We're talking winning faceoffs and getting back on defense. Nate Stern says, I think this is a Bruin spot taken behind the woodshed. I do not know where the offense is going to come from. I can tell you what, Pasternak is going to learn what he had with Patrice Bergeron. He's going to learn it pretty quick. And his goal scoring is going to go down. The power play goals are going to go down. And people will understand how spectacular Patrice Bergeron was. So in saying that, I've been looking at this total. It just keeps climbing. Will Hill has the over 6 at minus 125. Pinnacle has moved the over 6 minus 106 to minus 117. I think it's a mistake. And I think people expecting offense from the Boston Bruins because of a vividness bias are going to lose money. So I want this under in the Bruins game. And also the first period under I'd be interested in. So I want to see how high this goes. But I expect this will be an addition no matter what. If I want the 6 at plus money, I'll do that. But watching this line move towards the over is just, I think it's a bias from, under bettors got crushed last year and there's more goals in the NHL. And we had, I think it's the most 100-point scorers in the season since that 96-97 year. But it's going to be, we'll track everything as we do every year and see what happens with these totals. But I do not think the Boston Bruins are going to be a team that's going to be, winning 6-5 hockey games. I would bet heavily against that. So from the money line scenario, we have a huge move towards the Bruins. They've gone from minus 304 to minus 340. So I imagine they're in parlay after parlay after parlay after parlay. Remo says, will the Toronto Maple Leafs pass the Bruins this year in winning the Atlantic Division? They're with this group, they're a better hockey team than the Bruins. The Leafs are. So we'll have to see health. Health is paramount. The Leafs are a really good hockey team, and the Bruins are going to take a step back, but the Bruins can still play with anybody. And if they, have a much tighter defensive unit, I don't see why they couldn't have another great year. But they know that the regular season is not as important as the playoffs, and I think you'll see that through them. D-Rock says no goal first 9. Neither team comes out flying. That's interesting, D-Rock. I like that idea. Kyle Hitlian says the Bees still have talent, boys. Going back and looking at this squad, DeBrusque is on the way up. JVR is slow and old. He may help on the power play. Marchand, everybody's going to understand what they had with Bergeron and Krejci. And not that Zacha and Coyle are bad, but it's just you just had the best two-way center. Sidney Crosby is up for that because he's such a plugger, but you just had the best two-way center in the NHL over the last 15 years. And you can't pretend that's he's everything you could ever want in a hockey player. So I think you're going to feel the pain of that. So those are the early games. And I'm all over them. And I'm going to move on. I was a little timid about wanting to have action on the under in the Blackhawks Bruins game, even though I want Bruins unders and I want Hurricanes unders. I've already moved on Hurricanes, but I'm going to wait. And it was just because of the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are sort of a question mark right now. So we'll see. let's move on to the 3 night games. Then we're going to get into MLB playoffs. We have 10 p.m. Eastern. Winnipeg Jets at Calgary Flames. Scotiabank Saddledome, Calgary, Alberta. Now the worst arena in the NHL. The players don't want to play for Calgary because of how bad it is. TJ says, I get Boston unders, but not against Chicago, who's on the back-to-back early in the season. You don't need to stay off because you respect my spot. You should then take the over. I mean, that's the public's moving on the over. There's 2 spots here that Soderblom is going to be the starting goaltender for the Chicago Blackhawks. He'll take over at some point this year. He's got that kind of potential. And this is just not a Bruins team that's going to score a lot. And they're going to punish the Chicago Blackhawks young forwards. They're going to hurt them. And we'll see. We'll see, TJ, my man. Okay, so let's move on. And Kyle Henley saying Krejci, not a big loss. He wasn't the same player this year than he had been. And you can't just take a year off to Europe and come back and play in the NHL. It's too fast. It'll blow past you. He still was a great center for your squad. Jets, Flames, Scotiabank, Saddledome, Calgary, Alberta. You have Connor Hellebuck against Jacob Markstrom. Anybody who has any belief in Calgary, anybody has any belief in Calgary, you better hope that Jacob Markstrom has a decent season because they don't like him. The fans don't like him. He was signed to such a big contract. We all laughed when he was signed. And he's coming off a bad year. 2.92 goals against average, 892 save percentage. Now, Hellebuck 2 years ago was coming off a bad year. And he came back and looked like that Vezina Trophy winner again last year. 37, 25, and 2, 2.49 goals against average, 920 save percentage. It was a huge statement to the city of Winnipeg, to their fans, and to the players on the team when they re-signed Scheifele, who is the late, great Dale Hawerchuk's, took him under his wing, pushed the Jets to draft him. Scheifele is the complete player. If Dale Hawerchuk, who's like as quality of a guy as we've ever had in the sport, thinks you are a captain and you should be picked in the first round, you should lead this team, then you are that person. Anything that Dale Hawerchuk's just quality, man. And it's too bad he's not here physically with us, but we have all of his tape, and goddamn, was he spectacular. So that was a huge thing for me, that signing. Blake Wheeler was outspoken. Bonus is an old school angry coach, and he went off on this team. And, I think you needed Wheeler out, even though I'm a Wheeler fan. I think you needed him out. And then Pierre-Luc Dubois, you needed fuck out. So you got these guys out. You told Scheifele, look, you are a guy, here's a big contract, and you told your star goaltender, you are a guy, here's your contract. This comes down for me. I think the Viardi on the first line is great with Scheifele, and Kyle Connor is an elite sniper. This is all about Cole Perfetti. And whether do you believe in Cole Perfetti or not, he is the key to this Winnipeg Jets team. And he's coming off, he's a young guy, early first-round draft pick, put up 30 points in 51 games. He believes in himself. He's got incredible skills, and I believe in him. I think Perfetti is going to be a real player. And so when I look, I think Josh Morrissey is a top 5 defenseman in the NHL. I think he's going to be a Vezina Trophy finalist every year for the next few. I think Scheifele is everything that you'd want in a first-line centerman, and you have a Vezina Trophy winner goaltender in that. You put it all together, and I bet the over 91.5 points on the Winnipeg Jets. I think this is a team on the rise. I think this is going to be a better team than they were last year. Now let's go to the Calgary Flames. I took their season win total under 94.5 points. It was juiced to the over. I got even money on that under, and I took them not to make the playoffs at plus 130. I cashed on both of these last year, and sometimes you can be nervous going back to the well. I do not think Huberdeau is capable of a point a game anymore. I think that Pasternak is, not having Bergeron, is Huberdeau not having Barkov. Elias Lindholm, now their captain. Look, down the middle, Lindholm, Kadri, and Backlund, they're strong down the middle. This is going to be an under team. I took the under 6.5. I got minus 125. Let's take a look at what this total is right now. The Calgary is going to have a weak ass power play, man. If you expect anything from them, it'd be Mangiapane on the power play. I mean, on the actual, because I don't think Huberdeau has it anymore. So I fear this is going to be weakness. They're going to put Huberdeau on the point, so it'll be Kadri, Lindholm, and Coronado. So you need Coronado. At this point, they have Mangiapane on the second power play point, but he's the kind of sniper that you need on the power play. I do not. There's nothing I like about this hockey team except probably Lindholm, Kadri is the 1-2, but that means you're going to be tough to play against. Power plays. A penalty killing. You're going to be very strong on the penalty kill. So here I moved on the Jets. I got plus 115. Right now it's at plus 110. It opened up at plus 125. Again, we had the football show and all my attention was on football. Even though I kind of had a plan on what I was going to do, I just didn't move on it yet. And then this total has dropped to 6. So I got the under 6.5. When this opened, it opened yesterday morning. This opened up at 6.5 yesterday morning, 9:38 a.m., and it moved to 6, less than an hour later. The 6.5 was sitting at Bet365 for a long time. So Calgary unders, baby. Calgary unders. Now we're going to need Markstrom to play okay, but Winnipeg, Calgary, they don't like each other, and I couldn't believe I could get a 6.5. I didn't want to have any totals on my card today, but I did move on the under 6.5 there, and the Jets at plus 115. Then let's move on to the Edmonton Oilers at Vancouver Canucks. Rogers Arena, Vancouver, BC. Stuart Skinner going up against Thatcher Demko. Noli, I'm probably going to add a third under, which is a very dangerous thing to do in the NHL these days with the Boston, but I'm going to wait till it gets up to 6.5. Stuart Skinner, Thatcher Demko. I have the Oilers to win the Cup at plus 900. It's a $400 bet, and there's nothing else I have on them. I don't need them to succeed in the regular season, but I think that they understand the importance of it when they didn't have home ice advantage against Vegas. And then Thatcher Demko and the Canucks, I don't want anything to do with either. And they're going to be better than they were last year. And their power play is going to be a top 5 power play in the league. And there are going to be a lot of opportunities for overs. I think the best opportunity for Canucks overs are when they go up against a non-offensive team. So you get a bit of a lower number because people are going to be able to score and the Canucks against them, and Canucks are going to be able to score. And Philip Roenick and Quinn Hughes is sort of our dream here. I mean, we have Tyler Myers out there. If you guys remember last year, Tyler Myers and Oliver Ekman-Larsson were by far the worst 2 defensemen in the NHL together. The worst defensive pairing in the NHL by far for expected goals against and all the different Corsi numbers. I like that they will put Connor Garland on the trade block because it's going to push him as well. Andrew G says Quinn Hughes future Norris Trophy. I did bet that last year, and I'm not going to bet that anymore. I just, if you can't clear the front of the net, I think he's a great defenseman, but I need him to be able to clear the front of the net. Johnny K says Oilers smash spot. If you guys remember last year, it was the first game of the year, and JT Miller scored, I think, like 45 seconds in. It was 2-0 after the first period, and I believe the Oilers came back to win. But I don't want anything to do with this Canucks squad. I love Andrei Kuzmenko, but Rick Tocchet knows what he's capable of, and he made him healthy scratch, and he benched him for times. I don't know what he's going to do with Kuzmenko. It scares me. Elias Pettersson has become a complete player. I did not think he was capable of it. He's 10-1 to win the Selke game, and that just goes to show what kind of player he is. JT Miller, second-line centerman. I'm a big JT Miller fan. Pia Suter and Teddy Bluger are what we needed. Rutherford's the right guy for the job, and I think he's going to build the right team, but it's going to take some time. So then with the Oilers here, they have the best player in the NHL, and they may have the second best player in the NHL. You have McDavid, Draisaitl 1-2, and you can't build a team around it. It's pretty shocking. You turn Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to 105 points. Zach Hyman. Now you bring Connor Brown. That McDavid, Brown, Kane line is very good. Evan Bouchard's becoming a top-level defenseman, and I don't hate on Nurse as much as others. I know he can make boneheaded plays. Look, the Oilers are going to be there. They're going to be a problem. Rod Zawacki says Oilers Canucks open 7. I smashed the under down to 6.5. Still love it. 6-1-1 to the under last 8 meetings. It went under last year in game 1, so I get it. RVD on the over 6.5. I didn't bet this game. I just didn't see. This is I'm going to be moving on the under in the Boston game, but this is the one that I just didn't really want to be a part of. Pinnacle opened this up at 6.5. It was so juiced to the over. They moved it to 7, juiced to the under. It's come down a little bit. So the under 7's minus 123 over at Pinnacle right now. And then from a money line standpoint, you have the Canucks at plus 140. They opened up at plus 140. I get it. With Chubb, that's a tough thing. I barely slept last night, but if your great grandfather fought for Canada, then we thank you, or America, we thank you. So, Philly Eagle Flyer says, I think Demko stands tall here. Demko is still dealing with injury issues. He's capable of being an elite level goaltender. We'll see if he can be. I don't know. I think he can be. He certainly doesn't have a defensive group in front of him that's going to keep the puck out. Okay, and then the final game on the board, then we'll get into MLB, is Colorado Avalanche at Los Angeles Kings. So I'm on the under 106.5 points for the Colorado Avalanche this year, and doing it pretty confidently. I was surprised that Joe Sakic, after the years of watching Ryan Johansson, for the Predators, wanted to bring him over. I was extremely surprised at that. Did not see that coming. All right, it's going a little slow here. I do not. This team with Gabriel Landeskog is a Stanley Cup winning team. Without him, they're good. They're just good. Makar is, you hear old timers say that he's the best defenseman they've seen since Bobby Orr. I would trust that and believe that. But it's just not a good enough hockey team for me. And you put Jonathan Drouin on the first line. I don't know what Joe Sakic is thinking. I guess he thinks that McKinnon will get him right. Johansson, Nichushkin, and Lehkonen in the second line. Bring in Thomas Tatar. He's accountable. Devon Taves and Cale Makar. I mean, is that the best defensive pairing in the NHL? It might be. Bowen Byram is going to be a spectacular defenseman. Josh Manson gives the toughness. Then you have Samuel Girard, who's also a key cog who's going to be very strong. Ryan Johansson is the first line power play unit centerman. He's just disappointed me year after year after year. Georgiev, I think, can be a number one goaltender, 40, 16, and 6, 2.51 goals against average, 919 save percentage. And Cam Talbot was a surprise for me. And here we go for the I am Canadian. I am Canadian, but my mom's American. You guys saw her, and so her dad fought in Korea, and so I have background for both countries. So but let's get back to this here. We're going to talk about the line history here for this one. We have the Kings now at plus 109. It's interesting. This was not the case earlier. I could have and should have waited. I've got the Kings at plus 100 here. And this Kings team, you can say that Cam Talbot is a problem, but I would say right now, without Gabriel Landeskog, who's going to miss another season, that the Los Angeles Kings will go further than the Colorado Avalanche this year. This team is so dangerous. Quentin Byfield, 6'5", 220 pounds, second overall pick in the draft. Anze Kopitar, 6'5", and then you got Kempe on that right wing with them. Pierre-Luc Dubois got to step up, but Kevin Fiala is the most offensive player on this team. And maybe Kempe's a better sniper. That top six is unbelievable. Arvidsson, Trevor Moore, and Philip Danault could be the best third line of hockey. The fourth line, very strong. Mikey Anderson with Drew Doughty. Now, this is a young defense that's improving. The question is in goal. I've got the Kings at 8-1. 8-1 to win the West. I didn't take them to win the Cup. So, all right. So, there you guys go. That's NHL for tonight. So, a quick review of my action here. I'm on the Canadiens first period at plus 190. Rocco says Byfield is a beast. Well, he was picked ahead of Stützle. So he better not make that the first thing that anybody talks about when they talk about him. And that's up to him. Canadiens first period of plus 190. Senators first period of plus 145. Ottawa, Carolina under 6.5 minus 124. I want the Bruins under. I want the under in the Bruins game. And I don't know if I want to double up first period and full game, but I want this to go up to 6.5. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is the Calgary Flames at minus 125. Winnipeg, Calgary under 6.5, and the Jets money line plus 115. And I'm on the Kings at plus 100. That is NHL. And let's roll into MLB right now. It is playoff time. And these games are monstrous. Monstrous. Please welcome star of Say Hey Plays of the day and my producer here who does such a spectacular job. Please welcome, without further ado, Mr. Jose Bouquett. Jose, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. Pretty just even postseason so far, but a lot of fun watching the games. Great series going on, and questions finally being answered.
Questions are finally being answered. Let's get to work right now and break this down. We start at 5:07 p.m. Eastern with the Atlanta Braves at the Philadelphia Phillies, and it is Bryce Elder. Has that been announced, Jose?
Yeah, I think I can double check, but I'm pretty sure. I think the books had Bryce Elder, for example. So
wow, okay, that was because I was surprised that Smith Shawver would be the choice. Bryce Elder is the pick. Okay, so I don't have it set up for Bryce Elder, so we're going to need to hear your thoughts on that. Let's start with the weather here, and also, the big part of this is how do the Phillies handle watching the series slip through their fingertips, because that's what just happened with the Braves comeback. It doesn't mean the Braves are going to go on a run, but it means the Braves are coming in with a ton of confidence. 68 Fahrenheit, 6.1 miles per hour left to right, stays between 6.1 and 5.0, and it's very slightly out, just a tiny, tiny bit out. At Ballpark Pal, they have Citizens Bank Park minus 3% home runs, minus 1% doubles and triples, and minus 3% runs. Let's get into the line history here for this one. Move over to baseball, see what we are dealing with. So, on the last day of the regular season, as you know, Jose, I had the perfect storm happen with Seattle winning their 88th game to catch me the season win total over, and Houston beating Arizona to capture the division. And then, of course, the Phillies took care of business like it was no problem against the Marlins and were cashing easily. Then the Phillies win their first game of the series at plus 181. And I started thinking about what I was going to do with the money I was going to win when the Phillies, win the World Series. And it was stupid.
What were you going to do with it?
As soon as they won the conference, I was going to go down to Santa Anita for the Breeders' Cup. I was going to book a quick flight and head down there for a couple of nights with the boys. So that's what I was thinking about. I was like, okay, I was just going over how much I would make and how fast I would need to get this. And that was a mistake. And the Braves are a very good baseball team, and they're not just going to go out like chumps, especially against the team that took them out last year. Philadelphia opens up at minus 124. They're now minus 116. We have a legit market move towards the Atlanta Braves, and Elder is listed. From a total side of things, we are sitting at 9, minus 115 to the over. It was minus 119 to the under. So we've actually had a 20-cent move towards the over in this one. 20 cents towards the over. Paco says you should still do that. My bankroll is not really set up for it tonight. Right now. I can't, like with NFL and with everything happening, I would need the boost to the bankroll. Then we have a cash flow scenario. Let me get this up here right now. In MLB, we can't talk about the NFL action as well that was locked in last night at the end of the show after college football. But we have 52% of the tickets and 78% of the cash on the Philadelphia Phillies, yet the market is moving towards the Atlanta Braves. From a total side of things, we have 58% of the tickets and 77% of cash on the under, and yet we have a market move to the over. So you will drop the Elder breakdown because I still have Smith Shawver, who I expect will come in right after him if anything goes wrong. Is that your expectation that if anything goes wrong with Elder,
Probably.
that Shawver comes
Yeah,
in?
it would be ideal if they don't see him for the Braves.
Aaron Nola on the other side. We saw him on October 4th. It was my birthday. I was down at Seneca Casino, and I made a very large bet on the Phillies, and it was just to sit back and call people asshole for no reason because you're so happy and drunk. TJ says Phillies money line is the gift. Phillies money line is the gift. Great to see you, DC Capper, my guy. Getting that work in with a double shift. Respect, man. Sometimes you got to get it done. And great to see you. The gift is in from our guy, TJ. I don't have his record in front of us, but it is spectacular. And I don't see why this wouldn't be the gift. We will go over batter versus pitcher spots with Aaron Nola. But all we need to talk about is what he's doing at home. At home, he's being excellent this year. And Zach Wheeler has set a tone that he has followed. Suarez has done the exact same thing. 6-3, 3.29 ERA, 0.97 whip, 97 strikeouts, and 87 2/3. Since September 1st, the Braves are hitting 282 with an 863 OPS versus righties. They're smashing them. The Phillies just 234, 741. This Phillies bullpen, 2.74 ERA, was supposed to be this big advantage they have over the Braves. That's not been the case, as we saw in Game 2 with the Braves, taking it out on this Phillies bullpen. I'm going to bring up the batter versus pitcher, and I'm going to bring up some information here on Elder. Take it away here, my friend. Tell us how we are getting paid. Braves, Philadelphia Phillies. Let's hear what's up, man. Let's roll.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people will be on the Phillies today. The home environment, Bryce Elder's first start in the postseason there. You can kind of see how the narratives kind of write themselves. But I was dead wrong about this series in the sense that I thought the Braves might end up sweeping the Phillies here. But I still believe in the Braves, honestly. And I feel like the lone guy saying Braves amongst the sea of Phillies here. And maybe that's good for you guys because my name is Reverse Sweep Ramon. But I do like the Braves here at a plus money spot here. If they're going to, win this series, they have to win on the road eventually. And I think the Braves kind of knew that coming into it. They would have to deal with Philadelphia and their environment. And here's the thing. They've started off like shit in both games. It seemed like the Phillies have scored first in both games immediately. It's like their shortstop gets on. He finds a way to second base. And then their shortstop finds a way to score using his good speed. So I hope the Braves start off well here. I like the Braves. The semi-reverse line movement kind of makes me feel better about it. Like you mentioned, Jimmy, it's opened up like minus 120-ish for the Phillies, now down to minus 118 with seemingly sharp action on the Braves as well is concerning. So Elder has made 2 appearances against Philadelphia this year. One was on whatever month is the 6th. I don't know what that is off the top of my head right now, but 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 6 Ks, 2 walks. And I read this tweet and it was very interesting. Bryce Harper actually said that if the Braves get into the postseason, which is hilarious that he said if, he's going to be really good for them. I just think he's really good, has no heartbeat. He's very good at slowing it down and knows what he's doing out there. So I was pretty surprised to see Bryce Harper saying that. And by the way, he'll be obviously out for vengeance today as well. But he had another start against them recently on the 20th of September. And it was 3 2/3, 3 hits, 4 earned runs on 2 home runs, 5 walks, no strikeouts there. So I kind of tend to lean more towards the early start, honestly, because those 5 walks is just an indication that he just did not have it that day, and his command was not it there. So if it's anything like that, obviously you lean towards the Phillies. But I like the Braves here plus money. I don't know if I'll make it official, but Braves for me, and I tend to lean towards the under in all playoff games. I bet both last night. I split, so under here again, but Braves was the primary lean, I guess.
Well, let's talk about Bryce Elder. We saw him hit that pretty heavy hiccup about 3/4 of the way through the season. He seemed to figure stuff out late. Let's go over his last few starts because, he's a pretty tricky guy to trust right now. And, he didn't make it through 4 innings in either of his last 2 starts. So, the second to last start, as you said, was against the Phillies. They touched him for 2 home runs. He didn't get a strikeout. I'm surprised that Elder's the choice, honestly. I think the hook is going to be immediate for him. So maybe they're going to try to get 3 innings with him. But his last 3 starts, what's that, 12 and a third, and he allows 14 runs. He has 8 strikeouts and 9 walks. I find it very, very tough to figure out how anybody would really trust Elder here. But do you have enough? Is it your faith in the Braves, or do you think that he's capable of having a good start here, going 5?
It's more my faith in the Braves. I don't believe in Aaron Nola. He's been pitching obviously better on the road, or excuse me, at home. But I just he's not been that guy this year. And a great start against the Marlins last round, sure, but I don't know. I'll be interested to see how he does. He's had 3 starts against the Braves. His last one was against Elder in that start we were talking about. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 Ks, no walks at Atlanta. So that was a good start. At home on the 22nd on that 6th month, whatever it is, 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, and then at the Braves to start off this season on the 5th month, 25th of that month. 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 home runs allowed there, 7 Ks, 2 walks. So he's seasoned pretty well, but it's still more relying on the Braves bats here more than Elder. But again, it's just one of those things that it's funny that the Braves have put themselves in this situation now because the season was over. I was talking to a friend of mine that's a Braves fan, and he was saying that their manager was going to be Dunzo. He was going to get fired, losing in the DS round, and again to the Phillies, playing d'Arnaud over Sean Murphy, and then d'Arnaud hits a home run in there immediately and does his thing. So I'm hoping that Braves gets a little bit of shot of life here, and that gets them there, and the Phillies saw God there, and then we've had it pulled out of their hands, like you were mentioning.
I think that the only reason why I haven't bet the Phillies right now is because of my futures on them. I have bet them every game, but at this point now, it's like, do I need to? I still believe that the Braves come back as soon, as well. I mean, Wheeler was part of it, obviously, but the Braves coming back and getting to Hoffman and getting to Soto, it makes me want to basically focus on the first 5, and I see why Sharpie's on the first 3. Yeah, I know that I have to separate futures from day to day, but we're getting deep in the year, and I mean, we're talking about 8K. So, but I get it. The day to day doesn't matter when you're talking about 8K to me for my bankroll. It doesn't matter. Like $150 bet, or even if I double it and make it a 300, I mean, it just doesn't fucking matter. But 8K matters. And I'm heavily invested in NHL, so that's the thing. But I know that you need to separate. Justin McAfee says Braves win. Don't overthink. Chili Dog Dooley says fading Elder, only taking Phillies team total over 1.5 plus 120 first 3. Christopher Comentine says they'll get to Elder. Jose, you're deciding whether you make this official at this point.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to move on it. There's other games to move on.
Did you believe that we get to a point in the playoffs, before we move on to the next game, did you believe we get to a point in the playoffs where the Braves pitching was going to hurt them, was going to be their Achilles heel? Did you believe that was going to happen at some point?
I mean, yeah, sure. This is, they don't have that high end talent. It's Fried, Strider, and then from there, they're kind of putting the pieces together.
So wouldn't this be the time that happens? That their lack of depth shows?
I agree, but I think that reverse line movement and the low line to begin with at the Phillies makes it feel like Bryce Elder is going to have a great start tonight. And, obviously it sets up for a game 4 with Spencer Strider on the bump in Philadelphia. You could easily see him going and winning there, and then game 5 Atlanta would be very electric. But like I said, I lean Braves, but I don't have the guile to make to the bet. So very interesting.
Well, I'd like to see how far this first three goes. I think that minus 130 is a fine price that Sharpie got. I trust Nola at home. I believe in him in this spot. And it's just the bullpen, which we thought was such an advantage, is what scares me. All right, I'm going to move on the Phillies after the show. I've got to decide exactly how I'm going to do it, but I can't not do it. So the Phillies will be on my action. All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board. And Alfred saying they have no confidence in Elder, or he would have been announced days ago. I also, I guess, there's truth to that for sure. But I also think that, you kind of, I would have waited longer to let them know. You don't want people to prepare. You want them to prepare for different pitchers.
I would probably guess that they let Elder know that he was pitching and just didn't announce.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's the more likely scenario there, Alfred. They just wait. But I think he's known for the whole series that he's pitching game 3.
Yeah, I think that's very possible. All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board, 7:07 p.m. Eastern, and we have BJ's best bet, Astros money line. ALDS game 4, Houston up 2-1. Razor Sharp picks with his Astros futures. Got to be feeling good about everything right now. Astros 90-72. Hard to believe that was enough to win the very dangerous AL West. 51-30 on the road. Better road team than they were a home team. At the Minnesota Twins, 87-75. 47-34 at home. We're at Target Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Two pitchers that are very questionable on the bump here. Jose Urquidy going up against Joe Ryan. Two pitchers that haven't started since September 29th. And Urquidy had a nice start, the 2-1 win at Arizona. Joe Ryan did not at Colorado in the thin air. You can give an excuse for that. Let's take a look at the situation that we're dealing with here. We will start with the weather in this one. 55 Fahrenheit in Minnesota, 7.4 miles per hour in. Stays between 7.4 and 6.2 miles per hour. It's always blowing in. Take a look at Ballpark Pal. They have Target Field minus 27% home runs, even for doubles and triples and singles, and minus 11% overall runs. And TJ holding a 24-1 World Series ticket. Sort of excited, but just, man, well, Bochy is the guy, man. So that he's the most important person on that baseball team. Being led by him, it's pretty easy to start believing. I mean, I have 18-1 on the Phillies, 9.5-1 on the pennant. Let's move on to the. Sorry, move over here. Let's move on to the line history here for this one. This is sitting at 8. Opened up at 8.5 and lasted there for 6 minutes. So this came out last night, 9:10 p.m. at 8.5, minus 113 to the under. 6 minutes later, it was 8. Let's move over to the money line for this spot. We are sitting here with the Twins at minus 121. They opened up at minus 120. They're at minus 121. There's been no movement. Let's get to the cash flow for this spot. On the total, 73% of the ticket, 70% cash on the over. On the money line, we have 26% of the tickets and 41% of cash on the Twins, and the line not moving. Brandon the Great is tailing Acuna bases. TJ saying, yeah, I agree. Bochy's a stud. Jeffrey Moore's excited about his 12-1 on the Astros. You should be. That's those are great. Anytime we're talking double digits, man. So Urquidy 3-3, 5.29 ERA, 1.43 WHIP. Only threw 63 innings this year. On the road, he was quite a bit better than he was at home. 27 1/3, 4.32 ERA, 1.44 WHIP. Joe Ryan had a great first half of the season, had a horrific third quarter, and seemed to get his shit right. He went on the IL for about a month and came back and seemed to get right. But then his last few starts weren't very good. At home this year, he's been much better than he's been on the road. 7-4, 3.84 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, 111 Ks, 15 walks. Astros versus righties since September 1st, 282, 847. Twins are smashing too, 249, 798. And both bullpens have been very good since the 1st of September. Ribeye play of the day is in. Alvarez, plus 145 for the ribeye play of the day. Rocco Rogers looking at Acuna, stolen base. Take it away here for us, Jose. Astros, Twinkies.
Super tough game here. This is actually the series that I said in the beginning of the series. If I had more balls, I would have picked the Twins to win this series, and it's just because I knew the Astros are kind of vulnerable at home, and that environment in Minnesota, I'm hoping leads them to one game victory. And it didn't come last night or the other night. I don't remember when that game was. I guess now, but Joe Ryan on the bump against a team that he really doesn't pitch well against. And it's been 4 starts in the last 2 years. I just looked up, and none of them have been really good. And it's like not even like late. They're still early and they're not good. So his second start of the season this year against Houston at home, 6 innings, 3 hits, 4 earned runs on a home run, 10 Ks, 1 walk. So maybe you could say 1 home run kind of ruined his start there, but next at Houston, 4 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 home runs, 6 Ks, 3 walks. Those were both this year. Last year, he went against them twice. He went against them once. He got crushed. 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 Ks, 3 walks, and that was still early on in the season. So he's still pretty fresh. And I don't believe in Urquidy either. So shockingly enough, this was the one game where I was like, oh, the over makes total sense here. But it opened up an 8.5, and then it's dropped down to an 8, and it's had all that money on the over. And I'm like, wow, okay, well, that's full breaks there. That makes me say under or pass here yet again. So for me, it's under. Astros at plus money. I like my guy Mike M's Jordan prop as well because off the top of my head, I don't think there's anyone scarier in the postseason when he comes up to the plate than Jordan Alvarez. Every at bat, it seems like he can get a home run, RBI, no matter who's on base, what's happening. He just seems like he's going to rake. So I lean Astros at plus money prices here. I said this yesterday with Pedro. I think if you just took all the underdogs and all the unders in the playoffs, you'd probably end up profitable. So, gun to head playoff underdogs and unders. So, even though this matchup screams over, I lean under again here in Astros.
Yeah, I think that the under makes sense here. You'd have to go full game, though.
Yeah, because I expect it to be, 4 innings? 3 innings of Joe Ryan, 1 time around the order probably. And then from there, who knows? They used Kenta Maeda as well yesterday, so I would need to at least see a bullpen chart to see who they're going. But they've got everyone available today, most likely. This is like your backs against the wall game. This is probably, most important, again, Twins game in a long time. So everyone besides Pablo Lopez is probably available for the Twins. So don't be surprised if we saw Joe Ryan 3-4 innings, and then we threw out another starter in there, and then we throw out Johan Duran in like the 8th inning and have him go 2 innings because we fucking need it. So I'm going to be excited to watch this game, but I was pretty surprised to see the Twins as favorites here. I'm not going to lie. Pretty surprised.
So do you expect to move on this stuff, or are you going to?
I think I'll end up moving on the under, yeah. But I'll let you know at the end of the yield segment.
And what are your expectations on Urquidy?
See, that's a great question because he's been a pretty good playoff pitcher. I'm not going to lie. It's funny because, in the regular season in the last few years, he's just been kind of mad, been up and down. But when the playoffs come and whenever it's a big moment, he pitches well. He pitched well in the WBC as well. For Mexico too, so he's just a big game pitcher. It seems like Jose Urquidy. So I'll bring up his postseason pitching, just for argument's sake. His last postseason start was in the 2021 World Series, and that was against the Astros. 21's been a little bit, but that was against the Braves. He went 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs there. Last year, he pitched in the World Series. 3 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs. He's just a good playoff pitcher. So I think this is definitely going to be your classic. Everyone's gripping their bats tightly. The sawed-off's coming off. The Twins atmosphere is going crazy, but they just can never find a way to get that last run. So I'll take the full game under 8.
All right, Jose, moving on the full game under 8. I am going to as well. Full game under 8. for Jose and myself. Rocco Rogers on Jordan over a half walk at -105. Ribeye play of the day is Alvarez as well. And for the ribby, a +145. And BJ's best bet Astros money line 5 units. Let's move on to the late game, 9:07 p.m. Eastern. We talked and when the playoffs started, and I was telling you how thankful I am that the Diamondbacks aren't playing the Phillies in the first round. It was just that this was just worked out perfectly. And now we see the Diamondbacks running roughshod over 2 strong teams in the Brewers and now the Dodgers. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is on the Dodgers -140. Big Booty Latina play today is on the over at 9.5. Game 3 of the NLDS. Chase Field will be rocking tonight. But we should also see this time of the year is there any chance that the roof could be open. I should have done that already.
Another example, by the way, people in the chat, biggest Arizona Diamondbacks fucking baseball game since the walk-off with Luis Gonzalez, or maybe Archie Bradley's triple, who knows?
They do not have it here for the first time. They always have had it here every game all year, and they don't have it here with the roof.
Slacking bitches.
Well, what's the weather? That's why we just go to Arizona weather here. Weather.
While you do that, I'll mention real quick that the markets in this game, to start this off, 83% of the bets on the over, but 59% of the money on the under there. So 17% of the bets on 59% of the money on the under is red flag number 1 there for the under there. And again, it might be boring, but just underdogs and unders in the playoffs right now seem to be coming through. Money line wise, 53% of the bets and 68% of the money on Los Doyers.
I expect the roof to be open. We'll see what happens, but I expect the roof to be open here. It's a really nice night, not too hot.
Wow, and this line has plummeted too. By the way, I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, Dodgers open up -139. They're now -119. So it's gone a 20-cent move towards the Snakes. Then
and it's not like I said, just like we mentioned just now, it's not like the money is on them either. 53% of the bets, 68% of the money on the on the Dodgers.
This opened up at 10 and it dropped to 9.5. We've not seen a team in this playoffs down 2-0 win a baseball game. All right, let's break it down here. These Dodgers 100-win season on the brink here, and they have big tits Lance Lynn on the bump. 13-11, 5.73 ERA, 1.39 WHIP, 183 2/3, 191 Ks, 67 walks, 191 Ks, 44 home runs. As a Dodger, he started 11 games, was 7-2, 4.36 ERA. That's a little better. 1.27 WHIP, but he wasn't getting the strikeouts. It feels like that they spoke to him and changed it. And, Sharpie's talked a lot about, what they wanted from him, but only 47 strikeouts in 64 innings, but, much better overall numbers. His last start was back on September 29th. And it was a nice one. Win at the Giants 6-2. He went 6 innings, allowed 2 earned runs. It was a nice one. He's been bad on the road all year. 7-6, 6.07 ERA, 92 innings, 94 Ks, 39 walks, 26 home runs allowed. Going up against Brandon Pfaadt. As you guys know, Pfaadt is a pitcher that I believe in, 5th-round pick out of Bellarmine. And these, he was their number 1 pitching prospect to start the year. And, he started the year in AAA Reno, where he was really good in a very tough park and a very tough league. 3.71 ERA. He was 6-2 at a 1.24 WHIP. He was just extremely strong.
Yeah, the first time he was really good is when they remember fucking Madison Bumgarner was on this team this year.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy to think about.
And, I like him. But he had a huge start on October 3rd against the Brewers, and he didn't look good. And it was 3-0 Milwaukee when he left. He went 2 2/3, allowed 7 hits, 3 runs, 4 Ks, 1 walk. I'm a little surprised they're going back to him, in all honesty. At home this year, he struggled, 6.46 ERA, 1.63 WHIP. The opponents hit 314 against him. His stuff is really good. They're basing this on his stuff, but his numbers are not. Dodgers versus Righties, 274, 796 OPS. We haven't seen a lot of that here in the series. Diamondbacks versus Righties, 219, 655. That's September 1st. We've seen them look much better. Both bullpens are pitching elite right now. Take it away, Jose. Your thoughts on Game 3 of the NLDS Dodgers Diamondbacks.
That line movement, first of all, is pretty shocking. That's again the first indication where I'm like, oh, well, Diamondbacks dogs seem pretty interesting. I'm not surprised Fott struggled in that first start. I mean, I'm sure you aren't either, Jimmy. First playoff start for a young pitcher in a road environment. That's just probably a spot where he'll struggle. Now he's at home. He's got all that good adrenaline now. Lance Lynn, not a guy I love backing, and we all know the rules. Don't bet on the fatties. But I'll say this: the under again does intrigue me, and so do the Diamondbacks here. Now, I think they really have to win this game. Do not let the Dodgers get off the mat here, Arizona, because if they win this game, they get Merle Kelly, who they promptly dominate. The historical record or historical numbers with Kelly is like 0-5, 0-6 against them or something like that. And then Game 7, Gallen in Los Angeles is not a spot where they want to be in. They already won that game, but this is it. I think this is a really, really big game. I like the Diamondbacks here. Again, I'm not confident enough in my sides to bet it, but I will most likely be on the under here again and just continue riding unders here. I split them yesterday 1-1, and the first one was kind of close actually, but I like the under 9.5 here again. I will move on it here. And I think Brandon Pfaadt has a pretty decent game here with a good home environment. And, I think the Diamondbacks' backs will have the weight of clinching on their shoulders. And I think Lance Lynn could have a decent start as well. 9.5 is a lot of runs in the playoffs, too.
I think the under must be bet. Earl Sports on the first 5 under 5.5. The reason why I think it must be bet is because this total in this game is based on these two starting pitchers. But the hook is going to be immediate.
Yeah, again, it's the same thing with what's his name in the last game too, Elder. I agree wholeheartedly.
The difference, though, in this game, and the Phillies have really nice numbers from their bullpen since September 1st, but the difference is these bullpens are pitching elite right now. So
yeah.
I think this under 9.5 is a must bet. Now, of course, the game could get away from either team, but with the breaks in the schedule for these games, you want your best pitchers to get a rep, get an inning in. So I don't think it'll be the dredges of the bullpen either, even if one team's far ahead. Earl Sports bets on the first 5 under 5.5. I like that. I'm not going to double up, and I would prefer the full game. So I'm right with you, Jose. The under 9.5. People see these two pitchers and think over, but this hook is going to be fast. Joe Yurkovich says, how about first 5 over? I believe in Pfaadt, and
we don't want to play God.
Well, I don't need to do that, but I believe in Pfaadt enough, and I don't see why Lance Lynn wouldn't have a good start here. When we look at the lineups, like let's just go over the lineup really quick because we know what
the rule with Lance Lynn, the lefties,
yeah, we know what hurts him here, and that although his numbers are better, nothing has changed since he's put on the Dodgers white and blue. Let me get over here very quickly.
It looks fatter though in the white, I will admit.
Yeah, look,
the pinstripes with the White Sox made him look a little slimmer.
So, Corbin Carroll obviously is the biggest concern, and Ketel Marte because he'll switch, so he'll go from the left side, and then Alec Thomas, and then you have Perdomo with the switch hitter turning the lineup over. So this is a perfect lineup for him to go up against. God,
and here's the thing: they need length from him too, because I don't think literally any of the Dodgers starters have gotten any length. Like Kershaw obviously went 1 out. Bobby Miller didn't do jack shit. So I think if the hook's out for anyone, it's going to be for Pfaadt, obviously. But I think Lance Lynn has to give them at least 5 innings, and I think that's what we get from him.
Can you imagine Moreno and Gurriel being traded for Varsho?
Yeah, Dennis Garcia is not pleased about it. Non-plus. Venezuelan catchers, they're just elite. And then Gurriel, just the icing on the cake there. Just a good playoff bat and a good playoff glove as well. It's so crazy to think about. And by the way, another case here. The Dodgers get swept by the Diamondbacks. Dave Roberts, it might be Connor Mack's dream here that he gets the boot. He might get the boot here for sure. And it'll be very interesting to see who Shohei Ohtani picks as his manager of the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah, with that $380 million contract.
Oh, or 500 or 450, whatever he wants to get.
Not a chance, man.
Yeah, the Red Sox will gladly give it to him.
The only thing you can do with him is make him your closer, not this year, but next year. He can't start again.
Oh, he's going to start next year. Not this, I guess, in 2 years.
I
He's going to start.
But I mean, with two Tommy Johns, I just think it's a very irresponsible decision. I don't think that will be made. The only thing he can possibly do after two Tommy Johns is close. If you want to have him pitch for you for a few years, but we'll let the market handle all that. We can discuss it.
Did you put that better with your local?
No, is it still available? No, I got caught up.
I'm sure it probably is somewhere. I'll look it up right now.
You said that was at Pinnacle or at Bet Online?
I think I saw it on Pinnacle when we were talking, so I'll look it up and see.
I still got to find it. No, I will though. He'll take it.
Yeah, it's a very fun bet. I'm glad that they put that shit out, but it's very interesting to say the least.
Well, let's review action and then get into college football. So a review of action, the pimp slap play of the day and the gift. We have the corner of gift in Pimp Slap Avenue, and that's the Philadelphia Phillies.
Hard not. What kind of like avenue do you think that is? Do you think it's like, loaded with hookers, or do you think it's gold plated?
Oh no, I think it's nice, man. I think it's safe until sundown, and I think it's a nice area. Noli says short leash for Lynn today. Short leash for Fott today. That's why I think the under is available. Joe Yurkovich says if the roof is open, I can only look to overs. I mean, you would think that Ballpark Pal has this set up for the roof to be open, and you see it's set up for it to be open, and they've got plus 1% home runs, plus 4% doubles and triples, minus 1% runs. With these two gas cans on the mound. So, but I get it. I know that the ball flies a little more, with the roof open there. Pip slap play today and the gift Phillies full game. Brandon the Great's on Harris over 1.5 bases. Justin McElvey is on Acuna over 1.5 bases. And I'm going to be on the Phillies here. Dixon Sider says that he needs two batters that are going to get a hit tonight to parlay them. Well, then I would focus on the cappers who that's their bet. So I'll give you Brandon the Great's on Harris. Justin McElvey's on Acuna. We'll talk about more in the other games here, but that's what I would do. And so that's what I would do, Dixon. And then that one dude said, did you go over the money percentage for Astros Twins? Yes. Jose did that for us. I believe, or maybe it was me. 73% of the tickets, 70% of the cash on the over, yet it's dropped a half run. And then 26% of the tickets and 41% of the cash on the Twins, and the line hasn't moved. So that all makes perfect sense, doesn't it? That all makes absolutely perfect sense to me. So then in game 2, Jose and I are both on the under 8. Rocco Rogers is on Yordan Alvarez over a half walk, and Mike M's ribeye play of the day is on Alvarez. BJ's on the Astros for 5 units. Then Jose and I are on the under 9.5. Robert Franklin's on the first 5 over 5.5. Rocco Rogers on the Dodgers first 5 team total over 2.5 at minus 130. Philly Eagle Flyer. Oh, my pleasure, that one, dude. Philly Eagle Flyers on Phillies first 7. Oh, it says Phillies first 7 batters all to get hit. It's wildly exciting there. All right, that is our MLB breakdown. So we're going to have a lot of action there. Let's move on to college football. Jose, if you'll stick with me and then talk about as soon as my breakdown is done, talk about the cappers in the chat, what their action is here for this one. Again, we're going to do best bets tomorrow. We have to move it over from today. So the best bets for college football will be tomorrow. But we're going to break down these 2 games in a really interesting spot. So let's get started here. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We have UTEP at Florida International. Two teams that have yet to win in conference. Ricardo Silva Stadium in Miami, Florida. 83 Fahrenheit, scattered thunderstorms. Take a look at the line history here for this one and the cash flow. 2 college football Wednesday night games. I love it. It's going to be fun. And these are some ugly schools. So let's get into it right now. Move over to the college football. UTEP Florida International. We'll go over to Pinnacle for line movement. Pinnacle is sitting at -3 for FIU. They opened up at -1. We've had a 2-point move to Florida International. Let's get over to the total in this one. This total is sitting right now at 43.5. It opened up at 44. Cash-wise here for this one. Let's see over here. We have 87% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on FIU. At least it's moved 2 points. That's a lot of money on FIU. Then you have 58% of the tickets, 92% cash on the under. And it's moved in that direction. Mike M on FIU money line. So, this is Dana Dimmel's 6th year on the job, and this team, UTEP, is moving in the wrong direction. And he's going to have to look for a new job soon. They've come off their 4th straight double-digit loss. They lost 24-10 at home versus Louisiana Tech as 2-point dogs. Now, they have injuries at quarterback, and that could save him his job. Starting quarterback senior Gavin Hardison, he missed the La Tech game with an elbow injury. He was day-to-day ahead of that game. We're talking 2 weeks ago. So, the same thing heading into this game with FIU is he's sitting here possibly playing. And I hate this shit in college football because you need to know what the hell is going on. And you don't here. So I tried to get as much information for you guys as I could. There's my guy Trey Torrance in the house. So Hardison was at practice on Monday, but he didn't take any snaps, and he was wearing a sleeve on his throwing arm. He was supposedly going to take more tests on the elbow on Tuesday before flying out. He said, this is his quote unquote. He said, "I'm feeling good, and hopefully we'll be good to go on Wednesday. If I can't go, then I'm going to be totally supportive of those guys and try to get the win, or those guys trying to get the win for the team, and I have a lot of confidence in those guys." That's not even their backup. Jake McNamara is still in concussion protocol. So he suffered a concussion in the La Tech game. So he's not there, which means now we're down to the 3rd string and the 4th string quarterbacks in Kevin Hurley or Cade McConnell. And they were atrocious in their last game that they were in against La Tech. So Dimmel told ABC 7, he said that McConnell is penciled in to be the starter. And I think this move, towards FIU here and everybody on FIU is, because of this. The problem is, do you want to make a bet on FIU and see Gavin Hardison run out there on the field? It would just infuriate me so much. And I've had this anger before when it's happened, but it doesn't look like it is. And Dimmel said that, McConnell's penciled in as the starter. So if he gets the start, it will be his first for a Division I FBS team. It's a redshirt sophomore. He was the 4th stringer. He was the quarterback for Cerritos College. This is his 2nd season at UTEP. And both McConnell and Hurley looked horrific against Louisiana Tech. The only team UTEP has defeated are the mighty Incarnate Word Cardinals. That's the only team. And they didn't beat them badly. And they beat them at home. Deion Hankins, their running back, had his first good game against FBS competition this season. He's been bad against every FBS team. Against Louisiana Tech, he rushed 15 times for 83 yards. And that was more impressive than it looks because La Tech knew that they weren't going to be throwing the ball. They have a really weak offensive line that doesn't help, either McConnell or Hardison or it doesn't help anybody. So they have a really, really bad offensive line. FIU comes in off their second straight double-digit loss. So these two teams combined have lost 6 straight games by double digits. 34-17 at New Mexico State as 6.5-point dogs. We're going to talk about the Aggies here in a second because they're the other game here. It was 14-14 at the half, though. They have a freshman quarterback in Keon Jenkins who's going to be good. 25-32 for 250 yards, 2 interceptions, but he's not playing very well right now. He got off to a really strong start, and they were very excited about him, but he hasn't been able to sustain it. 3 interceptions, no touchdowns over his last 2 games. And their offense is weak. McIntyre, their coach, is a defensive guy, and they have a really strong defense. So I would like to bet this under, but I want McConnell at quarterback. I want him badly at quarterback. And I just feel uncomfortable making some of these decisions when Hardison could be there. Do we take a coach's word here that McConnell's penciled in? Probably. But I'm so hesitant to do it. Just ridiculous. I mean, and we're talking about a side right now that has 87% of the tickets and 93% of cash. Now, we have seen a 2-point move. Mike M says it won't matter who starts for UTEP. Says huge trend spot for FIU. Why don't you talk about what's going on here in the chat, Jose, my man?
Yeah, a lot of FIU love. Unsurprisingly, DC Capper mentioning that he likes the FIU under 44 there. But there, yeah, it was very interesting. Earlier in the week, this was UTEP -1 for the college football breakdowns, and now it's like you mentioned, swung all the way to FIU. It's pretty crazy. Jeffrey Moore got him at a pick 'em. Robert Franklin got -1. DC's on -2. Troy Torrance likes FIU. Mike M likes FIU. Just a whole lot of FIU love in the chat. And yeah, I can't confirm UTEP sucks. And you're driven by the mighty Incarnate Word as well. So shout out to Incarnate Word.
Yeah, big shout out to mighty Incarnate Word. Noli Knows says Cerritos College. Says he wants to fade UTEP now. I do not. I would prefer not to be on the spot with 93% of the cash on a Wednesday night. But it makes perfect sense. I'd feel more comfortable with the under. And I don't think that having Hardison at quarterback would necessarily negatively affect the under. It might even help it because at least then UTEP can sustain some drives and get some first downs. I mean, I guess we should just take for face value that McConnell is going to start. And if that's the case, I mean, you should have seen them last week. They were just horrific. We're talking the 4th-string quarterback. I can understand why everybody wants FIU here. Mike M said, since 2018, UTEP road conference game 3-18 straight up, 15-6 to the over, going over by 6.5 points. I wonder if I should just wait to find out for sure that Gavin Hardison isn't in. Okay, that was a trash game. I do like the under, and I expect to move on it. That trend of Mike M drops is concerning, but I mean, if we're going to sit here and wait for FIU to put up points, they just don't do it. Now they are at home here, but Keon Jenkins is, Keon Jenkins is going to be a really good quarterback, though. All right, let's move on to the second spot here on the board. 9 p.m. Eastern. My Sam Houston Bearcats, 0-5, 0-2 in conference. And New Mexico State Aggies, 3-3, 1-1 in conference. We're at Aggie Memorial Stadium. New Mexico, 82 Fahrenheit, clear, 11 miles per hour is the wind. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We'll start with the total. This total is sitting at 42.5. It opened up at 43. It dropped down to 41.5, and that was deemed too low. There is money coming in, or there's a market move towards the over at this point. From a point spread perspective, this has been a huge move towards Sam Houston State. This opened up at 6. It's now all the way down to 3.5. Just a monstrous move to the Bearcats. Let's take a look at the the cash flow in this one. You have 49% of the tickets and 62% of the cash on Sam Houston, and the market moving, quickly towards them. From a total perspective, you have 67% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on the under. Johnny Gunn says never want to be on the public side. Everyone and their mother was on the Blackhawks over last night, and that went under. It's interesting, Johnny. I don't know how everyone can be confident on a total game one or even the first week of the season. It's just shocking to me. So here we go. Sam Houston comes in off their 5th straight loss, 21-16 at Liberty is 21-point dogs. They've covered 4 of their 5 games this year. I mean, some depending on where you got it, you could say they're 3-1-1, but they've covered 4 of their 5 games. And this is a brand new matchup here. We know that Sam Houston's first year in FBS. And Sam Houston's faced a really tough schedule, man. BYU, Air Force, Houston, Jacksonville State, and Liberty. So, you can say their offense is the worst in America. And, statistically speaking, you would be right. But that's a real tough group of teams that they've faced. So, yes, 10.8 points per game is abysmal. 3 yards per play is atrocious. 241 yards per game. I mean, yes, statistically, those are the worst 3, in those 3 categories are the worst in the entire country. But they put 435 yards up 2 weeks ago against Jacksonville State. And Jacksonville State's defense is pretty good. 327 yards, 5.1 yards per play against Liberty's defense. And Liberty's defense is good. So I want to actually move on the over here, but I don't want to go up against all the big bets that have come in on the under. And we got to talk about New Mexico State if we do want an over here. So Noli knows giving us the skull and bones for the dead under. New Mexico State comes in off their second win in 3 games, 34-17 over FIU, as 6.5-point favorites. It's the second. Last year they were bowl eligible, and obviously Jerry Kill wants to get there again. They both played at Liberty, and Sam Houston looks so much better than the Aggies. New Mexico lost 33-17. This Aggies defense is weak. They allowed UMass to put up 7.2 yards per play. UMass. Now Diego Pavia is very good, dual threat. He's looked very good this year. 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He also leads them in rushing with 314 yards. He's capable of moving the ball, but Kill plays this very, very slow tempo football. They run the second fewest plays per game of any team in the entire country. So take it away for us here, Jose. What are people in the chat saying?
Yeah, well, shout out to Justin. He dropped a good FIU money line, Dodgers money line parlay that Noli knows likes here. Nathan Cerna likes a little New Mexico alt line, 7.5 in the under there as well. And by the way, yeah, the public has been cashing in the NFL. It's been very interesting as well. Oh, and by the way, shout out to Troy Torrance there with that comment. Coach Krill, NIU legend, recruited me and dipped out. Who stepped out on Troy Torrance. Shout out to you, Troy, and Nasty Nate saying New Mexico State whoops their ass, and I'm sure he's going to bet their tight end to score a touchdown as well. Shout out to you, Nasty Nate.
Yeah,
public has been winning. Shocking. I don't know why or how, but
6.5 is 6 was a great line for anyone who got the Bearcats at 6. At 3.5, I don't want to sit here and take the ass end of the line. The only thing I could do then is take the over in points for Sam Houston. The problem is that, Krill's just going to try to keep them off the field as he does. But I think part of the reason, if you just look at the statistics with how slow New Mexico State, plays, and then how bad the offense is for Sam Houston, you would think that this was a perfect spot for the under. And I don't know if I want to go up against the big bets. Let me just see what it would cost here, or what the team total over would be here. I gotta pull this up here quickly. And I wouldn't mind going over NFL here quickly just to close out the show. Again, we're going to do our best bets for college football tomorrow. But let me go over to Pinnacle really quickly and to see what we'd be dealing with a team total for the Bearcats, because I just believe that their offense is better than it looks statistically. I mean, that's an easy thing to say, but I really do. So the team total is at 18.5 for Sam Houston State. But I mean, if they can get to 19 or 20, you'd have to think that, this game goes over, right? Unless Sam Houston State wins outright. Nate Cerna says State is more of a home team, so I'm thinking I'm analyzing it right. That was a really impressive performance at Liberty. They were 21-point dogs. They lost by 5. And I mean, what was the score? I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was 13-3 with BYU, or was it something like that? It was a very similar score at Air Force as well. Then that Houston game was a bit of a surprise. I mean, I knew I was in trouble when Big Ragu had a 2-unit bet on Houston. The Jacksonville State game, I did not agree. It didn't make any sense for Jacksonville State to be that big of a favorite. So we'll see. We'll see. Troy Torrance says, who do the books want to beat early in the season? Talking about NFL, the pros or the Joes. Jose, stick with me here. Let's get into NFL here. I at this point, I want to have action here, but I think maybe baseball is just going to be enough for me. We are going to have our best bets on Thursday, and I've got a bunch of spots that I really, really like. Saturated says, my Blackhawks winning again tonight, Jimmy. No. But I don't want the Bruins at this number at all. So let's discuss here in NFL. And we have the Cappers Contest show tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'm excited to be back for it. I'm a little nervous with Baltimore, Tennessee unders. It's my first double up of the season, and I don't like the fact that Pinnacle has given the best number on the board to go under. That's not a good spot for me. And then all of these games so far going towards the under is nerve-wracking. So I just want to see if there's been any change here on the total. Right now we have Tennessee as 3.5-point favorites. It's really a 4. It's a heavily juiced 3.5 here. And from a total side of things here, we have it's still 40. Now Bavad has now moved it to 41.5 too. So, it makes me a little nervous. And it just moved another cent to the under. Just now, right this very minute, just moved 1 more cent to the under. So that's I think everything's going to be fine here. I'm shocked that this is a 41.5 or a 41. I really do. I can't quite believe that Baltimore, Tennessee, with the way these two teams play, would even it should be at a 40, dropping down to 39.5. I took the Colts, and it makes me uncomfortable with the state of the cash flow in this one with the Colts. Right now, let me move over to the NFL. I thought that the public would be all over the Jags, and maybe they end up being all over the Jags. But right now, it's 82% of the tickets and 98% of the cash on the Colts. At least it's moved from 4.5 to 4, but that's not a place I want to be in. I got the Colts team total over 28.5 at even money. I'm comfortable with that. And then I took the Texans. I took the Texans at home against the Saints. If you look at the spread, the bigger bets have come in on the Saints. But if you look at the money line, it's 44% of the tickets, 62% of the cash on the Texans. And I'm pretty comfortable with that spot. Then I felt that this was a big kind of a discussion last night. I think that the Patriots are exactly what we're seeing. You could provide statistical statistical analysis to back the bounce back spot for the Patriots last week. It was a pretty easy thing to do, but I just put a line through it without Christian Gonzalez and Judon. And I was only going to be on the under in that game, but after talking it out with the group, I realized that's the spot is the Raiders are going to do it again to them. And McDaniel's going to do it again. Odds Bunch has his MLB action. Fought earned runs over 2.5. Joe Ryan outs under 14.5, and Philadelphia first 3 Thank you for sharing that with us, Sharpie. So I moved on both of those spots here, and I'm curious. I would like to hear your leans for the Cappers contest at this point, Jose. So, because for sides right now, for me it would be Colts, Texans, Raiders at this point. Then, and I said I'm on the under 41.5. I took the under 41 in Eagles Jets. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. By the way, I want the Broncos plus 10.5, but I can't do it at this point. I just can't pull the trigger yet. I bet the Buccaneers plus 3.5. It cost me minus 118. I wanted the hook on it. Troy gave it out earlier in the week, and he got the hook at a better price than I did. But I did that. I'm also on the under 44 in that game, Lions, Buccaneers. And then I'm on the Chargers money line. I don't want to be on the Chargers, but and these could blow up my face. And generally I'd be nervous about, fading these two teams that just got annihilated. But if you go over it's more than Leighton Vander Esch who got hurt in that game against the Niners. And maybe some of it was just guys with hurt feelings not wanting to be on the field anymore. But I think what's happening with the Cowboys is real. It's possible they don't make the playoffs. It started with Trayvon Diggs, and now the injuries are piling up. And do you trust Dak Prescott? I mean, the whole thing was about trusting that defense, and maybe you still can. But I decided to pull the trigger on both the Raiders and the Chargers, which is something that I would never usually do. So at this point, those would be my 5 teams in the Cappers contest. Have you put together a short list for your 5 teams in the Cappers contest?
I have a couple. Raiders and Chargers are on my list. Chargers home dog. I've been taking a home dog kind of all year. By the way, I've gone 3-2, I think, literally every week this year so far. So it's been kind of funny to watch. But I like the Raiders today. I've been on the Mac Jones sucks balls train since the beginning of the season, and he'll continue to suck balls because he's a horrible quarterback. So I like the Raiders. The Raiders aren't that bad either. I kind of had an infatuation with the Raiders too. The Chargers, admittedly, it's a home dog, but let's just be honest. I say this with all the Vegas games to an extent and all the Chargers games to an extent. There's going to be more Cowboys fans there. There's just going to be a shitload of Cowboys fans. Now, I'm not worried about that with the Raiders game because the Patriots suck dick and the Patriots fans aren't going to travel to Vegas to go see this team that sucks. They traveled there last year, lost in a horrific fashion. We all remember Jacoby Myers just fucking flanging it backwards for no reason. So I kind of like the Raiders there. And then I forgot which one was my last one here. I was looking at the lines. Obviously, I would love to see the confirmed locked lines. Oh, the Texans. Yeah, I like the Texans too. Again, home dog, better quarterback, arguably better coach, probably a better coach. So those are my 3 so far.
Katie says, worried about the fracture on the finger of Herbert. I think it's going to be a problem. It's all about pain tolerance, right? It's not his throwing hand. So it's just about, I think it's going to be a problem. But again, it's not his throwing arm.
Well, I'll say the most important piece of their offense that's not Justin Herbert, it's Austin Eckler, and he's back. He's already said he's 99% chance going to play. I think he's a very, very, very important part to their offense. They can't run the ball without him. I mean, Joshua Kelly and the gang suck, and their screens are just much more better with Austin Eckler, who's a touchdown machine. So I really think that Austin Eckler being back is the big difference there. So
let's just go over just a couple of things that happened to the Cowboys here for that spot. Just this, because I do not want to fade a team after getting lit up and smoked. But Vander Esch out 4 to 6 weeks. Now, Donovan Wilson, we're still trying to figure out what's going on with him, but Jordan Lewis and Deron Bland both left with injuries. So, the injury report here is going to be very, very important. But the special teams, Kevontae Turpin, I mean, that was their only touchdown, high ankle sprain. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. And then another really important part of their special team, CJ Goodwin, torn pectoral, done for the season. So Jordan Lewis and Deron Bland, I mean, you're already down Trayvon Diggs. You can't lose these guys. Losing Leighton Vander Esch, all of a sudden the Chargers are going to be as healthy as they've been all season. Now, they still don't have Corey Lindsley because he's got that non-emergent heart issue, but they're coming in off the bye. They travel to Kansas City next week. This is a must win. They got to get this win. They haven't had a very good year. Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Gilman, all coming back. They weren't there against the Raiders, a game they completely dominated the first half of. So the biggest problem here is, they get rid of J.C. Jackson. So they're saying that Asante Samuel, Michael Davis, and Jasir Taylor are the guys that starting quarterback, and Michael Davis and Asante Samuel have two of the six lowest rated. They're two of the bottom six in the entire league at percentage of making a play on a ball, which, pass defense or interception. So that's a problem.
Noli knows, reminding everyone as well that people play really shitty after they play the 49ers as well. And saturated questioning, saying why, maybe emotional damage. It's a good part. Being emotionally just pummeled by the 49ers must not be fun.
Well, I'm excited about tomorrow's show because we'll have our college football best bets. We're going to have NFL. We're going to have NHL with Mr. Gogster. And I've got a ton of NHL action. So we have our Cappers Contest show right after it. Let's review all action on today's show. We did just talk about Sharpie's plan. He's on Philadelphia first 3. Joe Ryan outs under 14.5 and fought earned runs over 2.5. Then, sorry, let me move over here. We'll close with NHL. So then in MLB here we have Pimp Slap Play of the Day and the gift is on the Philadelphia Phillies. I would kind of prefer to get in early. I know I don't want the futures to get in my head, but look, they're in my head. So it'd be a huge boon in my bankroll if I could get these through. And I got kind of cocky when they were up, against the Braves 4-0. Brandon the Great's on Harris over 1.5 bases at plus 105. Stacks Play of the Day is Acuna over 1.5 bases. And then both Jose and I are on the full game under 8 in Houston, Minnesota. Rocco Rogers is on Yordan Alvarez over a half walk. Mike M's on the ribeye play today on Alvarez. And best bet from BJ is the Astros money line. Then both Jose and I are on the under 9.5 in LA, Arizona. Robert Franklin's on the first 5 over 5.5. Rocco Rogers on Dodgers first 5 team total over 2.5. And Londo, big booty play of the day is the Dodgers over 9.5. And then we have the spreadsheet play of the day. That is on the LA Dodgers. So let's give a shout out to our very own Ron Crawford. And that is our show for today. Thank you guys so much for supporting us here. Troy Torrance, Saturated. And Troy and I's NFL breakdown is up right now on our YouTube page. Check it out. Philly Eagle Flyer. Come on, Breeze. R. Nillo says Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Very good, though. I'm very interested to see that. We'll be live for it. Hopefully we get a good one. Thank you, guys. Mikey M, Nate Cerna, North Ender, Nasty Nate, Kadesh Dean, that one dude, Raymond Reichart, Rance, DC Capper. Thank you guys so much for your support. Earl Sports Bet, Sam Houston State Moneyline. I like that. Banach Nate says New Mexico State whoops their ass. Joey Harb. Thank you guys for being a part of this, man. We have nothing without you guys. Markel, Slow Jams, Arsenal. Now let's go out there and get that fucking cash. Jose, thank you for all the hard work you put in to make the show look good. Any last words here for the Cappers supporting the show?
No, just tune in. We've got a bunch of stuff happening around Pub Sports Radio. So tune in, tap in. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And good luck, everyone. It's going to be great.
I got the Canadiens first period at plus 190. Earl Sports gave the Canadiens as the dog of the day. I have the Senators first period at plus 145. I have Ottawa, Carolina under 6.5. I have Winnipeg, Calgary under 6.5. I have the Jets money line plus 115 and the Kings money line plus 100. And I'm going to add, I want this Bruins total to get up to 6.5. If it only gets 6, that's fine. I want to get up 6.5. Phil Eagle Flyer says game time 4 hours away. Let's fucking go, Phillies. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this show. Let's go out there and get that cash. We have a huge week ahead of us. Big shows here on Thursday and Friday. Let's go out there and fucking eat. Leche! Hey, Los Books.